amazing sponsors, Czar Clothing. We appreciate the support of PFC. Be sure to check them out. And with that, Craig, we got some exciting fights ahead of us still.
Yeah, the next one right here.
No stranger to the peak fighting steel, Rod Moore is a seasoned PFC vet who knows how to expose his opponent's weaknesses. But how will the more experienced fighter stack up against the up-and-coming Elijah Powell? Powell is an explosive striker who can finish the fight in any way he needs. Coming up next, Rod Moore versus Elijah Powell.
Making his way first to the cage in this featherweight bout, Elijah Powell, a 3-3 fighter, 3-3 Muay Thai fighter, fighting out of West Monroe, Louisiana, by way of West Monroe, Louisiana, out of Crone, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, trainers Jonathan Brantley and Hank Hamilton. This would be his second trip to the peak cage. His first was an unfortunate guillotine loss to Abraham Munoz. A very versatile striker, though, a very high level of Muay Thai skill, has 3 really incredible highlight knockouts. So definitely looking to put his grappling skills to the test today against the Genesis fighter. Also, he felt it very important in his additional comments to let us know he is not 5'8". He is 6 foot.
There's no way in hell that guy looks 5'8".
So get it right.
He looks 6'2", 6'3".
I was gonna say 6 foot doesn't even look.
I mean, I'm 5'5" and a half, 5'6" on a hot day with the boots on, so it's hard for me to tell.
No, say what you were really gonna say, Craig. You're 5'5" and 3/4.
Stop. Give me my 6. Listen, Bellator put me as 5'8" because when they asked me, that's what I said, and that's what they put on TV. So I'm 5'8". That's all that matters.
When I was in college, they put me on the website. I was 5'4", 135 in college. They put me on it 5'6", 160. I said, Coach, my height and weight wrong. And he goes, yeah, I know. Your real height and weight is embarrassing.
And Elijah Powell ready to go.
I said, set it off on my left, set it off on my right. I said, lick all of my breath, all of my sight. I said, Bryn, Trump, this won't fight. I said, gunshots into the air, but I ain't scared for my life. I said, paint a picture like a young Pablo Picasso. Live fast, die young, so I drive slow and pray I die old. And the drop with the top low, met a bad from Chicago. My hat was cocked, yo. Kept it straight, cause y'all know. And if not, you'll learn how to in the shot go. I ain't good, but I'm thinking about it. I'm say why you gotta think.
And making his way to the cage second, Rod the Workhorse Moore, a featherweight fighter with a record of 3-4, a mixed martial artist fighting out of River Oaks, Texas, by way of Spire, Texas, out of Genesis Jiu-Jitsu, trainers Mark De La Rosa and Kendrick Williams.
Well, they do not call this kid the workhorse for no reason. This guy puts in more work than anybody I've seen at this stage in the game. His speed, his power, his explosiveness, everything about what Mark has done with this young kid is absolutely spectacular. And if there's one person who needs to be concerned tonight, it's Elijah Powell with what what Rod Moore can do.
And you know, the thing about Rod is you look at his record and you go, okay, he's 3-4. But then if you look at who he fought, you go, oh. He's fought every top level guy, every champion basically at 45. So he's fought a who's of the division, and he's a peak vet. So he keeps returning, keeps getting better. And as we take a look at the tail of the tape, you can see a large discrepancy in age there. Height a few inches goes to Powell, and the records starkly different, 1-1 and 3-4. Now we'll take it in to Jeff Houston.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are set for the next fight of the night. 3 rounds at an amateur featherweight division. Presented to you by the United States Army. Be all you can be. Introducing you first. Fighting on the blue corner, he is a Muay Thai fighter. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall. His official weight, 145.7 pounds. His amateur MMA record stands at 3 victories opposite 3 defeats. Fighting out of West Monroe, Louisiana, here is Elijah Powell. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. He is an MMA fighter. He stands 5 feet 9 inches tall. His official weight, 145.8 pounds. His MMA record stands at 3 victories opposite 4 defeats. Fighting out of River Oaks, Texas, by way of Spire, Texas, here is Rod Workhorse Moore. And our referee in charge of the action, Birchie Stillwagoner.
Rod Workhorse Moore taking on Elijah Powell. 3 rounds of featherweight action.
And here we go. Now, Powell really showed his dynamic striking in that unfortunate loss to Abraham. Both of them very well-versed Muay Thai guys, adding those elbows and knees in very nicely as amateurs. It will be interesting to see if that affects Rod, as he's not had the same amount of opportunities to fight with those elbows, doing a little bit more of his fighting in Arkansas there.
Well, Powell's striking looks crisp out the gate. He's very light on that front foot, really quick with his hands. Looks very comfortable.
And this kid always comes in with some of the most badass fight shorts out of any other fighter.
Yeah, he really does.
I mean, he always comes crisp and clean.
Ooh, Rod with a nice entry to the body lock. Elijah working that overhook. Doing a good job of keeping himself up, off of the ground. This is just not a place you want to be with Rod, though. Just such a strong guy. And as the striker, the more time you spend in these grappling exchanges, the less power and speed you have once we get separated. So we know Powell's looking. You can see him working that plum, looking for those knees. Always striking,
that's
though.
good.
I mean,
Yeah, and Rod can stay here all day. He can stay here all day. Heavy pressure, looking for the takedown.
Powell keeps working for those different tie clinches, trying to find some way to get some separation and get some knees going.
ooh. Frames there to an elbow, not quite landing. 45 seconds left in our opening round.
Evermore water, the official water of the PFC, natural artesian water. Some of the best tasting natural artesian water this side of the United States.
And Powell just having such a hard time getting away from this pressure, just relentlessly working for those plums. Unfortunately, plum's not a great thing to do on the wall. Actually, it makes for an easy takedown. I'm surprised that rod's not dropped when he puts both his hands up like that. You have no underhook from that.
Well, he just punched himself in the stomach, it looks like.
And a rather uneventful first round, surprisingly enough, from such dynamic guys. And it's funny how that often works. You know, both guys respect each other's power and speed so much. One guy gets the clinch and he goes, you know what? I'm gonna try to wear you out right here. To take me back to my screaming session in my coaching corner, you know, it's easy for me to yell at my fighter what he needs to do, but when he feels how strong the other guy is, he's in a certain position, he's like, man, I'm just gonna try to ride this out and survive. And it's like, hey, let's not do that. Powell needs to have a sense of urgency to get out of that position. Regardless of the damage taken or your feeling of how it went, the visual, you know, the visual cue the judges are getting is, I'm losing. My back is on the cage. This guy's working.
100%. And in a round where there's not a whole lot to score.
Yes.
There's nothing else to score.
Really, what to score there is Rod held him on the cage.
Right.
Well, if you haven't already, be sure to download the Peak Pass app, available on Roku, iOS, and Google Play, so that you can check out the Apex Grappling Series, now exclusively available on the Peak Fighting app, Peak Pass. Second round, Rod Moore, Elijah Powell.
And you can hear, you know, Powell's corner must have said something to him, because he's come out crisp and working for it on those strikes. He does not want to get pushed back into that cage again.
Well, if you're going to lose a round, that's a good way to do it. In a sense of, hey, I know what this guy's capable of.
Yeah.
I know what's left for me to do, you know. Gives you a little bit of confidence to maybe go out there and try to dictate a little bit.
Rod just doing a great job, though. Not getting hit, maintaining distance. He's been steady on that leg kick. You can already see a welcome.
Nice little counter there.
Just missing with that elbow.
Great level change.
Great
Elijah Powell.
defense from Powell, because that was a good slip level change there.
Very good.
And back in a familiar spot. Rod working on that cage, but Powell able to get his underhook on.
Powell needs to get free and get away.
I agree. Shuck, get out, start striking. If you're so tired that you need to, hit him a couple times, do this again. Hit him a couple times, do this again.
Right.
The old Randy Couture.
Yep.
I just feel like this is a bad position for Powell, because taking it to the ground is not really what he wants, in my opinion. And of course, that's my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but his striking has looked so crisp from that long range. Of course, there's no deterrent like a two right in the face from Rod Moore.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What we don't know is, did he feel something in there from one of those shots that really put him on notice? But man, his striking, to y'all's point, has looked crisp all night long. Just under a minute to go.
No.
In this second round, Rod Moore clinching Powell up against the cage.
And a familiar spot here for Powell. 30 seconds left and working off the clinch. Moore driving, looking for the first takedown of the fight.
Well, and that's the second time in the last couple fights we've seen someone go for kind of a high-risk, flashy maneuver. He just goes for a Superman punch there. We saw a flying knee earlier that just misses and then ends you up in a pretty bad position.
Unfortunately, those high-risk, high-reward moves are exactly that. Oh, huge knee from Powell, and he knows he's got Rod hurt.
That one.
He knows that was flush. And and Rod does a good job to survive and get himself into the third and final round.
Big deep breaths by Rod Moore.
Well, and Powell felt that. He felt how flush that was and really settled in. You could see how excited he got when that landed.
Excited.
Yeah. Shuffled in.
Yeah.
He got his eyes got big. But did a good job of not over-pursuing because Rod definitely was looking for that takedown.
Good job walking him back there. Good takedown defense from Powell as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been run clear across the cage and has yet to be taken down.
This is a big cage.
Which shows a lot of improvement because that was part of the weakness he had with Abraham. He was really struggling with the grappling that Muniz brought to the table, and has obviously tried to elevate that portion of his game tonight against Rod Moore.
So a really important third round coming up here.
Yeah, and you know, I'm done checking who I think is winning, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think anyone's done enough to stand out.
I would agree with that.
A big round here.
I think this round.
No one can coast right now.
I think this round is important for both fighters, not only for this fight, but really for their stock and what opportunities exist next for them.
Right.
Great
and finally gets behind the punch, gets underneath Powell as he tries to counter and gets the takedown. First takedown of the fight, a huge one with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in our third round.
But Powell's doing a good job of getting straight to work, trying to get out of there, trying to get his feet up to the hips.
He's got to be more aggressive here, though. He needs to continue to land those shots, set up a submission attempt, or look to get some space. He's got his feet on his hips right there, which is good, but he needs to create that space, get to a hip, and start working his way back up.
Right there. Oh. Now it looks like he's trying to.
He is hard on that waist. He's looking to do that.
Yep.
It was looking like maybe a body lock pass, but.
Well, and Powell needs to look for an arm here. If Moore's gonna be that far down on his waist and reach with his arms, Powell could potentially trap a shoulder, trap an arm.
Right now, Rod just content to hold Powell down, not able to really land very many strikes. Powell actually throwing more strikes here from his back, eating up that triangle. It looks like he's got it locked, and he does have that triangle.
He's got it.
Can he lock it in? More posturing. He's got it locked.
He's got to rotate.
Throwing those elbows.
He's trying to get that leg so he can pull himself around.
Rod Moore in a desperate position.
Elbows.
Desperate position here for Rod Moore in the end of our match.
There it is. That's what he wanted this whole time.
1 minute left. Elijah Powell deep on the triangle, looking for the finish.
Just nasty elbows
nonstop.
here.
Can he survive? The referee close in action. Rod Moore. Oh, can he continue to take this damage?
And Elijah could switch to that armbar from here, but he does not want to give up the nasty elbows that he is landing on Moore.
And for Moore to fight that triangle, he has to move himself into a worse ground and pound position.
Powell needs a little more.
He's got to get that arm across his body if he wants to lock in that triangle.
Short time left, 10 seconds left. Can Powell find the finish here against Moore? Round 3.
And Powell yelling at Moore. Yelling at him from the bottom.
Oh my goodness, what a finish. What a fight. I think they might have still been talking. Big into the fight.
Moore does not look confident with how the end of that fight went.
No. And in terms of activity, the biggest attempt, the biggest motions we saw were there from Powell at the end of that fight. So it'll be interesting to see how the position and pressure of Moore ranks with the judges tonight.
I don't know. Powell really impressed me that fight.
Yes.
Really impressed me that fight. He went from being a Muay Thai guy that's trying to find his feet in MMA to really looking like an MMA fighter in there at times.
And very smart. He did have that armbar, but I feel like if you're that tight on the armbar, or excuse me, the triangle, man, getting off to that armbar is probably going to be hard. And you know what? Rod probably let his arm get broke. Let it slide out and hyperextend. So being smart.
Well, these guys are so slippery. It's the third round.
Right.
You have such a dominant position, and those
so many
elbows are so vicious. That, yeah, it's hard
the significant
to look
strikes
for that.
absolutely have to go to Powell for the fight just because of the elbows.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. He had the submission hold. He was landing the ground strikes. You don't see it often, but doesn't change the facts.
Well, I'm not going to make any predictions because I am woefully off for the night. I will say that was an exciting match that I feel like both of those guys didn't quite feel like they could get going until later. And like Brad says, you can tell Rod not quite confident in that outcome, and we'll be going into the judges here in just a moment to get that announcement. And to Jeff Houston we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, after completing the scheduled 3 rounds, our judges at cage side have scored this fight 29-28, 30-27, 29-28 to the winner by unanimous decision, Elijah Powell.
And Elijah Powell coming away with the decision victory. Rod Moore seemingly a little upset with that decision, but I will have to say I think it was a fair assessment of the fight that we just watched.
Well, Elijah Powell looked good. He was mixing up his strikes. He got the fight to the ground. He had some submission attempts, landed some nasty elbows. And, you know, Rod is going to go back and look at the tapes and wish that he had done more when he had Powell up against the cage and his opportunity was in front of him. But unfortunately tonight for him, Elijah Powell was too crisp, mixed things up very well, and ultimately got the decision victory.
And I think the deciding factor, and tell me if I'm wrong, but that knee he landed on Rod in the second round.
Totally changed the pace of the fight.
Whole fight changed right there.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally changed the pace of the fight. Rod was concerned with what he felt in that moment, and Powell used that to his advantage and started pulling away with the fight.
Well, and what you see happening there is, okay, now Rod has to wrestle, but he wasn't doing anything with his wrestling. He was just trying to put himself in a position to, it looked like right out the fight almost.
Yeah, it didn't look like he had very many answers once he did finally get on top, and Powell just securing a very, very strong advance decision win. And woo, here come the titles. Here comes the fun, baby. Getting to our first championship bout of the night. Strawweight battle from Maria Bastillo.